Hello and welcome to a special edition of the iTnews podcast, brought to you by the State of Data Report. We're excited to launch the inaugural State of Data Report on Thursday, June 20th, at a special data forum breakfast at the NextDC Sydney Data Centre. Listeners are invited to register their interest in attending. To register, visit the link in the bio of this podcast. iTnews will host panel discussions with CIOs, CDOs, data analysts and data scientists, covering topics from the report such as data security, data analytics and artificial intelligence, data storage, and data governance. Our guest this week is Jared Woodruff, the head of AI engineering at law firm Lander & Rogers. The firm set up an AI lab in February, and perhaps unsurprisingly given the recent trajectory of AI technology, they're working through a substantial pipeline of ideas and multiple prototypes a day. All in all, a very useful set of insights if you're looking at how to set up your own internal AI Centre of Excellence structure and really embed AI into your organisation.
Lander and Rogers has recently stood up an AI lab. Can you give us a sense of what that lab looks like as an operation, but also what's some of the technologies or what's happening behind the scenes to power that capability?
From the team construction, essentially it's a fusion team of traditional domain experts from BAs to project managers. And then we have custom roles and specialists that we've built specifically for the mission of this group. So we have prompt engineering specialists, we have my role as head of AI engineering. We have Gen AI advisors, we have AI strategic leads, and we have Gen AI market specialists as well. On top of that, we also have process automation experts too. From a standpoint of a department or a unit, we have all the development capacity, the business analytics, the project management, and the strategic oversight and leadership capability that we can deliver a full pipeline of AI solutions to the firm. So we have all the people in the room that need to be there to answer the question of, is this a viable solution? Does it work? Can it scale? Is it ROI applicable? Is it internal? Is it external? So all of those questions can get answered in one place. So that's from an external capacity point of view. From the internal workings of it, the technology we use at the moment, we're partnered with Microsoft very heavily. We're using Copilot as the first sort of mainline AI initiative that this group does. So we use that day in, day out. We do our business analytics function throughout the firm to understand where Copilot can fit as a baseline, and then identifying the gaps, I would say, where Copilot doesn't fit. And then we bring them back as use cases to the whole build buy conversation. And then other functions of the AI lab start to spring to life to answer those questions. Can we prototype something to prove that? Okay, cool. The prototype works. Is it feasible for production? Can that scale? What's the cost impact of that? Can we do it securely? Can we do it from a regulatory standpoint? What's security and governance applied to it? So all of these things are happening behind the scenes to answer all the existing business questions and then all the new questions that are flooding through with this whole advent of Copilot.
So you mentioned there are a whole bunch of different roles that are coming together as part of this fusion team. Specifically interested in the Gen AI folks that you've got within that structure. How are you going about sourcing those skills?
I think those skills exist in every organization. Definitely they existed in our technology teams, especially. I've been working in the Gen AI space for quite a bit, but that's outside of Landers. And those skills just became applicable inside of Landers when Landers decided to pursue this sort of mission. And the same thing happens with those other roles. So we had people who were working in the AI space outside of Landers as passion projects, even prompting specialists. Our current prompts engineer lead, Stanley Chua, I've worked with him quite a bit, and he's phenomenal in his understanding of prompting and all that aspect of things. So it was just a natural fit. All these people exist in firms, in every organization, I'd say. It's just about putting out the call and saying, who's interested in it? What are you interested in it? Is it from a governance standpoint, from regulations? Is it from prompting? Is it from image generation or just model specifics or statistical analysis and training? They're all there. You just need to look for them first. I'd say doing that before going out to the market is a key thing for every organization because they are there. I can guarantee it.
And what's it like standing up an AI lab operation of this kind of nature? How did it come about within Landers in terms of executive sponsorship, in terms of the way that it was driven and the way that allowed you to then build that capability or function?
I guess from the firm's perspective, there's always been a hunger and desire for innovation there. I mean, that's why our iHub exists and also the Law Tech Hub exists, where we sponsor startups and help those organizations grow and using those technologies in innovative ways. With Landers in particular, conversations started in our technology teams. I would come in and show my boss, Manoj Puri, just research prototypes that I build outside of Landers. And he was always interested in that sort of thing. And it's like, hey, we could apply this to XYZ. And it started to pique an interest there. And then obviously once GPT came out from OpenAI, it was quite clear where the direction was going. And then the firm was, this is the sort of stuff that we're seeing we're capable of now. This is something we should really start taking seriously. Then that started the conversation between our CEP, Genevieve Collins, and our board, and our Chief Innovation Officer, Michelle Bay, and our CTO, Manoj Puri. And they came together to essentially pitch this AI lab to the firm. And then it was accepted. And then for some strange reason, they tapped me to head up the engineering for it. I think definitely an AI lab's critical for every kind of organization. Where we have IT departments and technology teams now, I see every organization needs an AI division of some kind.
Just on that, do you want to talk a little bit about your journey into the AI engineering space and into the lead role specifically? Because I believe looking at your LinkedIn, you previously were in the cloud infrastructure and DevOps space for Landers as well. So do you want to talk about that transition?
It seems like a natural career progression. I've been writing software since I was 12 years old. I've been in engineering positions, systems administration, solution architecture, from cloud to on-prem. And then I've been in this space for quite a while. And then I guess for Landers, I've been here for almost 10 years. Every infrastructure that exists at Landers has had my hand on it from a design and implementation standpoint. So I understand the aspects of the business, how all of our infrastructure coexists and the security and governance around it. And it helps because we've always had that idea of DevOps, right? Where if you had a system administrator that was developer, that's a powerful combination. That's essentially where I sit, which is why it's a natural progression, because I understand to manage the infrastructure, I understand AI, and I understand the developer operations from it. It seems like a natural progression into that space. And it's something that I'm definitely passionate about, which is why I do it outside of work as well as inside of work.
And was there stuff that you'd done in some of those previous roles across your sort of 10 years or so with Landers that involved some aspect of precursor AI or machine learning or other things that have set you up on this path as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a few applications that were key. One in particular that stands out is Pulse. Through COVID, there were a lot of constraints and challenges for organizations that wanted to support critical workers coming into the office. And at that time, there was no existing solutions that allowed us to contact trace somebody if they go and work in the office. So Landers is a fantastic place if you want to build stuff because you have that freedom to do it. So as a developer, I'd love that. Essentially, we sat down and just said, all right, let's build something that can run on these people's machines because they all use laptops. There's no fixed workstations of any kind. And then we basically used these agents to collect telemetry interactions, and we were able to track where a laptop comes in proximity with another laptop, what's the duration of contact, how many people are in the office so that we could stay within the local guidelines. And then we bring all that telemetry back and use traditional ML statistical modeling on that to then determine, okay, here's all the contacts that this person's been in contact with while they were there. Obviously, that's only going to get you about 90% of the picture. If they duck down to Subway for lunch, you're missing that telemetry because it's outside of the organization. But that was one of the latest ones that really got me into that thinking of the ML space. Before that, we had iSight, which was an infrastructure system that I made that monitors all the key infrastructure and then automatically intervenes when necessary. So this can take all the statistics of disk, CPU, and memory allocations, identify when a trend is starting to occur or peak usage, and then automatically intervene, apply remediations to that, and then continue operations. So that's more of the infrastructure side of my brain. And Pulse was more of like, this is just what we have to do because no one exists that can do it for us.
Just a question about how you're dividing your time as an engineering lead in the AI space, but also how the AI lab is operating by extension. Now, you've mentioned earlier on that you're using, I think, Copilot as the mainline or baseline program and trying to fit a lot of stuff into that in the first instance, but then use cases that don't necessarily fit, then you will go back and review what might be possible. So there's like a two-speed approach potentially to AI use cases, but maybe you can explain it in your terms.
Yeah, I do a split of days. It's hard to manage workloads of infrastructure and AI. My days are 100% full at any given time. Whereas the infrastructure days, I'll actually have parts of the day which are free. So I'll do a split. So I'll be working on AI on these nominated days, and then I'll be working in infrastructure space on the other side. But my time really does break down to like managing pilots and projects and running vendor engagements, developing partnerships, R&D prototyping. So on any given day, we'll be building 3 or 4 prototypes to test different AI modalities and how use cases flow, and then altering our AI trajectories. Working with security and governance is a big one because obviously this whole AI space, we're a law firm, we are trusted. That's the main aspect of law, is that you have trust. Making sure that we tick all those boxes and bring security and our governance teams along with us each and every day is so critical for us. And then the other one is building out our AI infrastructure to be secure, modular and dynamic so that we can pivot basically what we're doing at a moment's notice when a new technology or a new model comes that we can utilize and jump on that. When this whole AI lab came into fruition, the amount of ideas that came at us was absolutely phenomenal. It's amazing when we work with the BAs in the AI lab to work through all these ideas and use cases, because historically you always had to go out to the firm and identify the workflows and the processes that were in flight. And you're going to miss some key details because it's the age-old problem of it's always been that way. We've always done things that way. With every use case that we started seeing coming our way, and just these are ideas, we now have tools that we can solve it. We can have Copilot solve it maybe. We can have Copilot Studio agents. We can have Power Automate. We can have existing workflow tools, or we can even work with them to redefine what the problem is and then go, actually, we already have things that you can use right now. We just need to go about it a different way. And then all the ideas that don't fit into any of those tools, then it goes into the build or buy list. Which one do we work with vendors? Which one do we build? Is it scalable? Does it work from a financial standpoint? And that's where we work with our vendors, partners, and internal devs to answer that question to the business ultimately. But I will say, like, as a developer, historically, every time me and the other devs would start our morning, we'd always say, wouldn't it be cool if, and we just do that for 5 minutes every morning. And that's how we fundamentally build applications and just solve problems that a business might have. But for the first time with this whole generative AI movement, everyone in the firm is asking that question, from your finance specialists to your business support groups to your lawyers. It's amazing because all those flood of enthusiasm and ideas are coming through, and it's like, all right, fantastic, we can execute on this, we can do this. It's really a constant flow of innovation that's coming through that we've never seen before. So it is phenomenal to see.
And is there a one-to-one translation between idea and pilot, for example? So you run almost everything you can, at least at some level, through the AI tooling that you have to work out to what extent it's feasible and then to what extent it needs to be recategorized? Or are you doing a recategorization before you actually push it through Copilot or any of the other tools?
So we'll look at it from their standpoint, and then we'll see where all the other ideas fit. And then if these things merge, then we'll be like, all right, cool, let's test the theory in Copilot. Let's test the theory running against like NextDC agent or LLM of some kind, or like some other modality AI that we'll do. Because a lot of the ideas, they do come together to different parts of one engine, because users don't see the whole picture. They see the issue, which is good. And it's up to us to see the entire solution and go, all right, cool, this particular solution is going to solve 25% of those problems. This other solution is going to solve 30% of those problems. Or we create a bridging component which combines these two AI systems, which solves 50% of those problems. That's how we triage that at the moment. And that's why we do the rapid prototyping. Our prompt engineers will roll through Copilot and see if we can get the desired output from Copilot, because Copilot is always that first fundamental step, because it is the baseline that every employee of every organization is going to work in the next 12 months, in my opinion. So can Copilot do it? No. Okay, move on to the next step and then go from there.
You mentioned sort of security and governance as a key input into a way that you're architecting, you're thinking about AI. Are they specifically have seats within the Fusion team itself, or are they still external parties but in regular collaboration?
They're still in their respective teams, but they are included into the development and engineering pipeline things that we do. They are engaged at that pre-work, post-work, and during the entire delivery lifecycle. Because and I'll give this advice to every organization out there, you don't just build and forget about it. AI is something that you maintain. You have to keep it. You have to keep watching that lifecycle. You have to keep deploying updates. You have to keep continuous improvement to it. So ensuring that security team is in that pipeline, in that lifecycle, and always has oversight to it, like security auditing, logging, transparency, design documentation, all of it. they have to be there from day one.
And are they physically in the pipeline as well in terms of certain controls they've specified or certain ways that the governance framework or the way that an idea moves through that pipeline progresses in terms of gates?
Yeah, they have authority at all the key areas of the development pipeline, and we are bound by policy. And obviously, we're ISO certified as well. So there are standards that we have to adhere to that keep security in that decision-making process. So it's definitely something that needs to be done with consideration and care.
If we can talk a little bit about the Copilot, the baseline, for example, and I don't know if you've got an example of some use cases that you've developed or you see as particularly conducive within the legal environment or that's been particularly successful for you so far in the legal environment that you could share.
It's still early days. We were lucky to partner with Microsoft early on to be one of the first law firms to get Copilot in. Tremendous amount of work that's gone into that, and Microsoft is a phenomenal partner in that regard. They're supporting us immensely with everything. Without their support, I doubt we would be where we are now with our ability to execute on that. With what the immediate feedback that we're seeing coming back from our lawyers, we're seeing quite a bit of benefits around Outlook and Teams, as well as Word summarization and insight extraction. Because at the end of the day, lawyers need to surface information precisely. Gone are the days of keyword search. Don't see those days coming back, right? Everything is now vectorization search. It's all about relationships and semantic meaning. The idea that Copilot can surface any information that they need right at that point in time, that they just describe it in their own natural language and then they have it at their fingertips, that's a key selling point for lawyers because their expertise is the thing. They know what they're looking for. You don't need AI to rewrite what they're doing or anything like that. That's not what AI is meant to do. The AI is there to give them all the information that they need to execute that decision and execute it with precision, saving them time, finding that information, surfacing it. That's key.
Obviously, there we're talking about Microsoft 365 Copilot. Have you looked at any of the other Copilots that are also emerging within the Microsoft space?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, running evaluations at the moment with GitHub Copilot and Security Copilot. We are partnered with Microsoft from everything from AI, hardware, infrastructure, support and engineering. So it's safe to say that if a new Copilot or industry shifting technology is coming from Microsoft, we are evaluating it day one. We're not evaluating Power BI Copilot at the moment, is that obviously is stored outside of Australia, and we take our governance very seriously. So if it's outside of Australia, we can't touch it. But Microsoft's building all these things day in, day out, right? We see that there's a Copilot for OneDrive that's going to be coming out soon. We've got Copilot for SharePoint, which is on the roadmap as well. And we're obviously looking at Copilot inside of Windows 11. So again, we've partnered with Microsoft for hardware as well. So we'll be evaluating their new Surface fleet, which is NPU equipped. So we'll be able to do local AI acceleration and see how that plays with the next version of Windows to continuously support our users in surfacing that information and just helping them use their devices quicker and more efficiently.
Question we always ask everyone is what excites you about the next 12 months?
So 3 key areas, I'd say vision, voice, and agents. Can't talk too much because the amount of NDAs I sign in this space is ridiculous. But I'd say the UX is the first thing to shift, and that's where voice is going to drive that change because at the moment, text-based conversations rule the roost, but that is going to slowly transition away because at the end of the day, making it a more natural and collaborative interface between us and AI systems, that's going to drive adoption further. The vision aspect excites me the most by far and away because the amount of functionality and applications of vision technology is endless. We've already shown internal prototypes around the capabilities of vision, and it's doing stuff that we never thought was possible. At the moment, it's cost prohibitive to do it at scale, but obviously, once we see advancements throughout this year, once vision becomes commoditized, that'll really dominate the space and deliver real effective change for businesses. And on the agent side, I see that as closing the gaps for workflow execution, complex mission planning, and logical reasoning. AI agents with vision capabilities is an extremely powerful tool. We have an internal prototype at the moment, which is doing the first iteration of that, which is we have applications in the firm, legacy applications that all law firms use. So we have an application that wraps itself around these legacy applications, then uses vision technology to actually see into the application and then gives you a Copilot-like conversational experience on the right. So we don't need to ask vendors to add AI support into their apps. We'll just put it into their apps. That fusion of vision, LLM, and then agent capacity, that's really going to drive change as well. So those 3 things are what to watch out for 2024.
That's it for this fortnight's episode. Stay tuned for the next one. And for all the latest headlines and happenings in Australian technology news, visit itnews.com.au. While you're there, register your interest for the IT News State of Data Forum on Thursday, June 20th at the NextDC Sydney Data Centre.